advantage. We have David Solona, co-founder and co-CEO of Opinionator. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much for attending my session. I'm so glad to be back in Toronto after being stranded in New York City for 2 days. I was supposed to arrive here on Sunday. So yeah, I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Opinionator. And Opinionator is a full customer experience management and voice of the customer platform that is helping companies, go beyond traditional feedback, make CX more human, and turn it into real results. But I'm not here today to talk about Opinionator, but to share with you some practical things that you can do to make CX human. CX has lost that human touch, and turn it into your next competitive advantage. Is this working? There is a lot of pessimism these days around CX. And this is not new, let me tell you. This didn't start yesterday, not even 5 years ago. This started way back when companies started copying what they had been doing for decades in the analog world. They brought it into the digital world without thinking. And they started sending, bombarding all of us with dumb, ugly, horrible surveys that really had no, conversational, side to them, treating everyone the same. They basically send the same survey to everyone, doing things like, automating without any intention, just for the sake of it. Let's launch more surveys. Let's reach out to more people. Let's get even more data. What for? And then, building programs for reporting. We have heard the horror stories about NPS. Companies trying to get data and, executives asking for those NPS numbers, but without building relationships. And, those metrics really, at the end of the day, have no meaning, and they don't reflect empathy. So customers feel this. They know that how they're being treated and how they're being approached. So CX has become completely mechanical and has lost its touch. And that has come with a cost, definitely. And you've heard, I'm pretty sure, the story about how companies think that they're doing great, and that is in a stark contrast with what customers think. 60% of consumers feel that companies have lost that human element, or over a majority of customers will switch to a competitor after they had just one bad experience. How do we fix that? How do we bring that human touch back into CX? And there are 4 things, very practical things, simple things, actually, that you can do and take out of this session. The first one is to go beyond surveys and create feedback experiences. Second one, personalize every single interaction. That is not being done today, not at all. You go to a website, and we would all have the same, 99% of the websites, we would all have the same experiences, we would all be, launch the same surveys, et cetera, and that can be changed. Act now. The traditional process by which you would collect feedback, store it, then analyze it, and then maybe act on it has completely changed. That is not valid any longer in the digital world. Digital means now, not zeros and ones. Digital means that you need to act immediately, because later it'll be too late. And then the last thing, if you do all of that right, if you do that right, 1, 2, 3, then and only then can you apply AI in a meaningful way to scale empathy. If you don't do 1, 2, 3, and you start, putting AI, you're just going to add more chaos to the existing one, all right? So the kind of insights, the data that you're going to get is going to be even more confusing. So let's go for it. Creating feedback experiences. We at Opinator, we started working on this problem 15 years ago. We've spent tens of thousands of hours of conceptualizing, then designing, developing new experiences. And this was like our first commandment. In order to measure an experience, you need to create one. Otherwise, nobody's going to interact with you. The whole universe, not just your traditional competitors. If you're a bank, you're not competing just with with other banks. You're competing with TikTok, with Instagram, with Facebook. You're competing with everyone. Because the whole universe is competing for the eyeballs of your customers. If you don't create an experience, nobody will spend a second interacting with you. So now you tell me, how are people going to respond to the black and white surveys full of radio buttons and checkboxes that you're sending out? How do you create an experience? Well, we came up with a new concept, what we call the OP, Opinator Personalized Interfaces, that enable you to very rapidly create different types of formats of interactions. That's valid for surveys and for many other digital interactions. So you can see here a few interactive elements that we've created. It's all very emotional. It creates that emotional bond with the customer. And, OPs enable you to get not just, way higher response rates, but a better experience, a two-way interaction. And I'm pretty sure that, for many of you, the first time that you see surveys, they're not really surveys, but interactive feedback experiences like this. And you can see that there are literally hundreds of different templates. When you start doing that, the quality of the data that you're going to get is better. Why? Because you have someone's full attention. When someone is filling out a survey with checkboxes and radio buttons, he pays no attention. It is an automatic process. You do 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, and that's it. So the quality of the insights that you're getting, it's very low. And the kind of actions that you're going to take are very limited. Okay, so the second thing that you need to do, and that very few companies are doing, is to personalize every interaction. In the real world, if you're a bank, you would never, ever talk to these two people in the same way. Someone that has been with you for 30 years and has $5 million in assets in your bank, and someone that created his first account yesterday and is already in the red, okay? So, but that's exactly what companies are doing in the digital world. You go to a website, those two people would see exactly the same forms, exactly the same pages. If they go back the following day, it's exactly the same. So things that would be nuts in the real world, if you get into a bank branch, talk to someone, hi, Mrs. Whatever, How can I help you today? They know, if you're interested in the deposits, the kind of conversations that they're going to have with you are going to be different from the ones if you are interested in mortgages. And again, that's something that few people are doing. And that can be fixed. Actually, we're doing that for big banks like BBVA, Santander, and many others. So the first thing that needs to be done is to make feedback contextual. So forget about having just one feedback tab, that sad gray feedback tab on your website, all right? That nobody clicks to. You need to be able to capture feedback as experiences are happening. And those experiences are going to be different in different touch points, in different journeys. But you can trigger specific interactions at different points. The second thing is that you need to make those interactions dependent on the behavior of the person that is interacting with you. That person, even if you're in Bali at that time, or if you're asleep, that person is talking to you with her fingers, with the mouse, with the keyboard. He's talking to you. And that's how you need to consider that interaction. If I were in front of that person, what could I do? What would I tell that person that was going to contract this new insurance policy and at the very last step hit the cancel button or the back button? What can you do specifically at that time that is very contextual and behavior dependent? That person, I know already when the interaction is launched, that wanted to leave this process. So how do I act? I don't need to ask irrelevant questions such as, would you recommend this? That's completely useless in that scenario. And it is not immediately actionable. That might give you a statistic, an average. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And the third thing is that you need to tailor interactions individually. And we've got to a point in Opinator where really the concept of the survey completely disappears, actually. What you're, the static survey that is identical for everyone. What we are doing is dynamically creating different interactions depending on who the person is, where she is, and what she is doing. When you do all of that, you get fantastic data, and you can act on that data instantly, which is the third strategy that I wanted to share with you. Act now. Later, it'll be too late. 1 second, literally, in the digital world is too late many times. So while the interaction is happening, you need to do things. As, once again, if you were talking to someone. If I was talking to someone and she was doing this and this and that, what could I do? And there's so many things that technology enables you to do and that few companies are doing. So one of them is you can create a two-way dialogue. You can put AI on top of this. We'll see that later. That's not, rocket science. As someone is interacting with you, you can respond in real time. I'm interested in this. I was trying to do this and I had a problem. We're not talking chatbots, okay? Don't take it to the too technical level. I'm talking about concepts. How do I build two-way dialogues instead of sending out surveys or web intercepts? And then, of course, depending on what people are telling you, you need to have the intelligence and the real-time decision engine, which we have, by the way, to make that process an intelligent one. The second thing is actionable intelligence. You need to combine what someone is telling you with what you know about someone. And that's something that our brains do extremely well. We are constantly combining what I know about you and what you're telling me, and we change conversations. And also information, metadata, information about the context, where the interaction is taking place, etc. And you can even build smart interactions and conversations even if you know zero about someone. I was sitting on a flight for 8 hours, and I'm talking to the person sitting next to me. I don't even know his name, and we are talking about astrophysics for 8 hours. And it's certainly a smart conversation, smart interaction. Would you think so? But I don't have that much information about that person. So don't be too obsessed about your existing information. Be more obsessed about the interaction in that moment. Try to mimic what has been done for ages by the baker, by the small shop owner. They would talk to people, interact with them. They would take into account the past history of interaction. I don't know this person, but she came yesterday and she asked for something. I don't have to start the conversation all over again. I can pick up where we left. Okay, things like that are common sense things that nobody's doing in the digital world. And the third thing, real-time impact. You have to turn that interaction into action in real time as it is happening. And there are many ways of doing that. Not just by responding instantly, creating a ticket, but so many other things. You could be redirecting that person directly. You identify that person is a senior. He's in an area for, accounts for young people. And immediately you could be redirecting, not just gathering feedback, but acting in real time. Once again, if you do all of this right, then you can use AI to scale empathy. But please do not make it the other way around. Do not start with a mess and and ask AI to fix that mess for you, because, that's not going to happen. And let's start with something which is the wrong use of AI. We've been hearing a lot about synthetic audiences. Many companies have given up. Oh, people don't respond to our surveys any longer. What for? I would never respond to it. I got a survey last week asking me for 20 minutes of my time. Okay? So basically, during the time of my presentation, I would have dedicated this time to filling out that, painfully, that survey. That's crazy, all right? So people have given up, and many companies and vendors say, surveys are dead. You don't need to talk to your customers. Do you know anyone here, any company in the whole world that does not want to talk to their customers? A survey is no more than an attempt from a company to talk to you. Done in a terrible way, but that's what they're trying to do. To learn about your experiences, your needs, the things that you would like, how you feel about that company. It is something very human that automation has completely killed. But we need to go back to that. So since companies have given up trying to talk to their customers because they don't understand what it means to just, kill surveys altogether, they say, oh, we don't need it. We don't need surveys. We'll just create virtual, imaginary audiences. So we go to ChatGPT or something similar, and we say, okay, imagine that we had, this product, and then that we have, these profiles. And imagine that you're a 45-year-old woman, executive, or with this much income, et cetera, et cetera. What would you answer to these questions? So this, is the wrong way to use AI, because you're basically going to go from an uncertainty to another uncertainty. And if you get just one thing out of this session, it should be this: averages kill insights. And what AI in this case is going to give you is averages. It's going to take a lot of information. An LLM, after all, is just getting a lot of data and using something that someone has said before, which is exactly the contrary to a real insight and caring about individual people. How do we use AI in the right way? If you have the right data, and you have already made sure that you're getting contextual feedback, that you can act on it in real time, personalized feedback, the next logical step is to add AI on top of that real-time action. So now you can use not just a set, an expert system, as it was called before, a set of if-then rules. If someone gives me a 2 on a scale to 10, then create a ticket case and forward it to customer support or whatever. Now you can apply AI to surface much more vague things. Things like, given this feedback and what this person is telling me, what is the chance of these people abandoning us in the next month? All right? And AI is very good at doing that. Okay? So you could be acting, extending that already existing action to include, broader scenarios. So that's AI applied to real-time action. Then you have the insights. And dashboards, we all know about dashboards. I mean, there's way too much data, and there are way too many dashboards. And, honestly, some people don't even know what they represent. Because the CX people send them out, and some folks in companies don't even, they look at them once a week, once a month. So what we are doing there is to apply AI on top of the quantitative information to interpret it in a natural language, right? To explain it to people that might, at least we're not sure if they're getting what is being reflected on the dashboards. The third thing is create automatic summaries of the strengths, weaknesses, issues, whatever is going on. And once again, if you do that with great data, actually we are applying that on top of our own text analytics engine, which is already providing fantastic results. 99% accuracy for promoters, 98% for detractors. If you ask AI to do that without really first categorizing, making sure that you have high quality data, it gives you very random results. And we've tried that, believe me. And then action plans. And it's super useful. And we're doing this for companies like Santander in the UK and other countries. And they get by text category, by customer segment, detractors, promoters, summaries of strengths and weaknesses, and specific action plans by areas. And it's super crisp what they need to do to improve, for instance, the experience, the app experience. All right? Next thing, real-time monitoring. AI is also very good at surfacing things that escape the human eye. That's where it really excels at, because those are things that first of all you don't nobody has time to do, and then they escape our our attention. All right, but AI is very good at detecting, for instance, anomalies. Something is happening on. Actually, this is a real example with one of our clients. When we developed the real-time monitoring and anomaly detector, the first thing that it detected was that there was something wrong on Thursdays around lunchtime, and this is for a big oil company in Europe. Conversational AI insights, and this is your kind of ChatGPT-like interface, not just to your data. So this has two sides. One is you can talk directly to your data. You can interrogate your data. What is wrong this week? What is happening here? What do you recommend for this area in natural language? But also you can talk with your feedback experiences with those OPs. Given my goals and what I need to achieve in this quarter, are these the right drivers? Am I asking the right questions? Look at the questions that I'm asking. Look at the answers that I'm getting. If we put them together, do you think I'm going to make headway and get to my goals? And last, we're developing a bunch of different AI agents, mostly directed towards closing the loop, towards accelerating that, making that action better and faster. So those are things that help those case managers. In short, AI can help you to make CX feel, learn, and act. When you combine all those three verbs, you're going to see results for sure. So to wrap it up, how do we make CX more human? 4 things that I've been sharing. First of all, empathy creates trust. We've seen it, and consumers are yelling that at companies. Build emotional experiences. Don't obsess so much about NPS or about metrics, and try to build experiences that really stand out, that really are different from your competitors. If you look today at the way most companies are gathering feedback, they're identical from their competitors. Basically, a black and white survey with traditional standard elements of interaction that predate the digital revolution. Those are, the radio buttons and checkboxes come from way back, actually, from when market research started. Second thing, personalization creates relevance, okay? If you try to generate the same interaction with everyone, you're not going to see the results that you need. You're going to get averages. And averages, as we saw, kill insights and have very limited value. You need to think about how to tailor every moment. Every single interaction is pure gold. As I said before, the whole universe is competing with you. When you have a customer in front of you, when you have his or her eyeballs, what do you want to do with that time? How do you create value? The digital interaction is the building block of the digital revolution. It's the building block of the new sales, marketing, CX. People like Jeff Bezos, one of the great things that he did 25 years ago, he realized this. Everything that they do is digital interactions. They don't focus that much on the channel, the building this super cool app. It's about how you interact and the customer experience. Instant action creates results. If you are able, companies that are able to act in real time are going to have a competitive edge. That's for sure. Because time is of the essence more than ever in the digital world. Act instantly while emotion is taking place, while the interaction is happening. And on top of that, apply AI to create larger impact. So let's all make CX human again. Thank you so much for your attention, and let's continue the conversation. We are at the booth. We are one of the gold sponsors. We are offering a few free pilots, so for free, you can have no risk. We are investing in that. Happy to connect on LinkedIn. You have the QR code there, directs directly to my LinkedIn profile. Thank you very much. Any questions? Or
Time for maybe one quick question. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, perfect.
What is sentiment learning by the AI?
Thank you. Sentiment learning and sentiment analysis is part of the text analytics kind of insights. And again, you can do it directly without a text analytics engine. So you can apply AI to do sentiment analysis, and it will give you different scores, and it can learn from there. The more data you give it, the more it's going to learn. But if you pre-filter that information, as we are doing, you categorize that information, the sentiment analysis is going to be much more effective. So we can show you at the booth some of the examples of things that we are doing for BBVA, very sophisticated projects. We have over 20 different CX and VOC projects with them, and we are doing a very specific one for their developer units to analyze different kind of sentiments in different situations. Sure.
Thank you, David. That was awesome. Really loved your presentation. And
Thank you
if
so much.
anyone has any other questions, I know we're kind of tight on time. Catch him outside. He has some cool offerings, like he said, free pilots. I mean, anything free, run outside. Go get some information.
Thank you.